Hi there, I'm 𝐁𝐄𝐋𝐒 from Emmaline Bags, and today I'm going to show you how to use our Giardini brand edge paint. This is used to treat the raw edges of cork, leather, and faux leather. You can use beautiful colors or you can use a color to match. On this faux leather strap, I have a beautiful color that I can paint on the edge here, so I can leave that raw so that I don't have to sew or rivet through thick seams. And when you're done, it looks beautiful, it matches nicely. You can even use a gloss if you like, and I've done it on this one, hopefully you can see, to finish it and protect it. So you can find these on the website. We've got a base coat and a gloss and paint, and it gets a little confusing, so I'm just going to help you understand what everything is, and so you can get started and do this on your own. Okay, so the first thing we offer on the website is the tool, and this is a great little roller tool. The roller on it works a little bit like an inkwell or a fountain pen, where it holds the paint into it, and you can load it up and roll it on the edge of your leather. On the website, we offer a base coat in dense, and I use this on everything. This makes a huge difference with the coating and the thickness on the edges of your faux leather. I'll just show this to you here. So this is a strap that I've started, and it has no base coat on the edges, and it's porous. You can see the fibers, but once you put that edge coat on, it fills up all the fibers actually and makes it a little bit rounded even, so that you get a really nice edge. And I use a couple coats of this. So you'll find the base coat, then we have an assortment of paints that you use over top of that. We have a really nice 18-piece set, and then we have some larger bottles of our dense paint that we've selected purposely to match our popular Mora faux leather that comes in many different shades. So we've picked a whole bunch of these larger bottles, and we're going to be getting them in smaller bottles too. And these will come in olive and Bordeaux and grape and black and all the colors to match our faux leather. Then what you can do actually is mix these to create the colors that you want to match your cork, to match the leather you have at home. You can make a nice teal color, for instance. I used on this with some blue and a little drop of yellow in it. And after you're done painting, you can leave it as it is and it'll have a matte finish, or you can add a protecting gloss, and the gloss actually brings the color out and makes it a nice smooth finish as well. Okay, so what I've got here is just a little strap that I've made up that has raw edges, and I just want to show you a little trick I use to make sure that the edges are really nice and even. So if this is a 1-inch strap, I'm going to actually cut the fabric about 1 1/8, and then I'll sew my side seams around it. And then I'll take a ruler and line up my stitching so it's nice and even on the 1/8 of an inch mark, and cut the edge of the leather. So what you'll do is you'll get on your faux leather or cork, you'll get both layers, the bottom and the top, cut perfectly even because you've cut through both at the same time. Okay, so I do that for all my faux leather and cork, and just like on this one that I was making, after I stitched around this wallet, and by the way, this is the lever wallet from Nosy Pepper. And so what I did was I stitched all this, and then I cut through all 4 layers, and I used my base coat to make it nice and even. Okay, so trim that edge even first, and then you'll get started with your base coat. Okay, so for the base coat, oh, and I should note that these bottles come with a plastic seal around them that you have to cut with a knife. I struggled for ages getting it open, but there's just a plastic seal. Cut it with a knife and you can pop that open. The base coat goes on white and it dries clear for the first layer, and then after you build up sequential layers, it gets more opaque, and you can see it's a little bit more white, and it has a bit of a domed feel to it. So I just dip my roller pen in there. You don't really want to dip past the top too much, otherwise it gets a little bit messy, but it does tend to roll down to the tip, and that's how it sort of stays like it's filling up. And what I do is I just roll along the edge like this, trying to get not to get too much on there. You can take a little bit and then drop it off and then tap the edge so the little excess comes off. If you do get a little bit on your strap or your leather piece, you can wipe that off with a Q-tip, or we can come back around later after it's dry and take it off with a little bit of nail polish remover. So the first coat, don't worry, it'll soak in. Then after that, we'll do additional layers. When that's dry, and that takes 30 minutes, you will sand it with a fine sanding paper, or a Scotch-Brite scrubby actually works just fine. I found this old sander in the garage. I gave it a wash. It doesn't look very clean, but it is clean. And then what we do is just sand this to take off any little bumps and uneven marks and rough up the surface a bit so that it'll take another coat or some paint. So we'll let that dry for 30 minutes and we'll give that a second coat. This side here already has 2 coats on it, so I'm going to go ahead and show you how to paint on here. First, I'm going to take this up to the sink, and with some warm water, I'm going to wash this off. You don't need any special cleaners for this, really. I find that warm water and maybe a toothbrush under the sink works really great to give it a clean. Okay, so I'm just going to show you how easy it is to paint on here. It's actually kind of fun. I like doing it. It's kind of like crafting, and it's really quick and easy. The longest part is just the 30 minutes drying before each coat. So this one here already has 2 coats of base coat on it, so I'm ready to get painting. We have a lot of different colors of brown right now. We have 2 in our set, but we also have a brown and dark brown in the large bottles. I'm going to use the brown number 24, and on the website, when you look at these colors, it'll show you which Mora faux leathers work best with them. So I gave that a shake, and now I'm ready to go. So the little bottles are a little bit easier to work with because you don't have to dip in so far, but I just dip it in up to the top of the roller and wipe a little bit off and give it a couple taps, and then I start with a very light touch. You don't want to just get right into the thick blobs, and if you do see a blob, just take it off. And what you'll notice is you're just going on one side because there's a bit of a dome shape on this edge of the strap now after you've used the base coat. It kind of creates a bit of a mound. So I go one side of the dome, mound, bump, and then over to the other. And then it really should just load up and roll down to the tip, but I have a tendency to go like this, so it rolls down to the bottom. So if you can try to get in the habit of holding it and rolling it towards the tip, it'll automatically sort of refill. Now what you need to do is hang this or set it somewhere to dry. I generally put it on a lid. I have some margarine lids. Another thing you can do is hang this with a little clothespin from a coat hanger or a line. Or what I like to do actually is just set this out like this and let it dry. So if you're doing a really long strap, you'll just want to do one side of the strap at a time and lay it somewhere and prop it up so that it can dry. Or if it's a pocket piece or something like that, this does dry pretty quickly, but I do recommend you wait for the full drying time. Otherwise, you could get some little mucked up ends. We'll let that dry, and I already have another one here that has 1 coat on it, so I'm just going to show you how to do the second. I take my sandpaper and I go ahead, and I do this after the base coat as well. I'll give it a nice sand and take off any little bumps that I might see. It roughs up the edges, and again, just give it a second coat. And if you do get paint, it's the same as what I was mentioning with the base coat. Just wait for it to dry. Then you can take a Q-tip and a little bit of water, or actually while it's still wet, if you notice a big bump, you can just sort of wipe it off. Like, look, I just stuck my finger in the back there. I can just wipe that off. Oh, I'm making it worse. Like that, or you can wait until it dries and use a little bit of fingernail polish remover, and you can just use the Q-tip and wipe that off. See, now I did that just to show you how to take it off, right? Try this on a test piece. I don't want you to go ahead and try this on a piece of faux leather or cork that you haven't tried. I tried it on ours and it does not take off any color on our faux leather. However, it took a very faint amount of color off of our cork. So you could end up with little bits of the gloss on here, and you can remove that really easy as well. I'm going to show you what comes next. So I've tried this in several different colors. I've even mixed colors and made this blue, but I want to show you our Bordeaux specifically. It has a bit of a red tone to it that really pops when you use the gloss over top. So when you add the Bordeaux and just leave it without the gloss, it's more of a matte finish and it's a little bit more dull and darker. So when you put that gloss on, it gets pretty bright, and that's really noticeable also on the purple. The purple is almost black, but it blends really well with our grape faux leather, and then when you add the gloss on, the purple color comes out quite a bit. So if you want a look that's just a little bit more subtle, leave the gloss off, or you're going to have a bit more bright color. But you can get kind of fun with it. I've used black on all of these colors, and it looks really good on the green. And I've also put some red on the purple and the black ones, and that looks pretty good too. So this side here, I don't know if you can see the difference, is the matte. It does not have gloss, and this side is the gloss. So I like to sand this and do 2 coats of paint, but I've only really needed to do 1 coat of the protecting gloss. And I mean, that's about it. We have tons of amazing patterns on the website. We have the sonar patterns, like this key fob wallet, and I'm going to be making this one next. And her patterns from Sonar are raw edge, and these are amazing for using up those scraps of cork and faux leather that you have laying around. And let's see, these are those cute wallets again from the Nosy Pepper. She's got about 6 or 7 raw edge little wallet designs, so try those out. I'd love to see how you're using our edge paint. Make sure when you use it, you tag us on Instagram, Emmaline Bags, and be sure to subscribe at the bottom here so you can see more of our tutorials.